Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The government is looking to resolve infrastructure problems in multiple states, including concerns related to water supply, roads and education. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said he is personally committed to address challenges faced by Sabah after visiting the territory to witness the situation firsthand.
Would hold a meeting involving the federal and Sabah governments to tackle the water problem there. He added that efforts were underway to ensure timely implementation of the Pan-Borneo Highway project, as well as road repair and maintenance works in Sabah. Part of these works would be handed over to the Sabah government in accordance with the national financial regulations and policies.
The process for companies seeking to hire skilled workers will be shortened from about 3 months to about 20 days. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said this would be made possible through a single window approach to be implemented in 2 weeks' time. He said the system, to be known as the Expat Gateway, would be managed by Talent Corp Malaysia starting from June 15th. At present, Rafizi said that the application and approval process to hire professional expatriates could take as long as 80 days to complete, depending on the sector involved. And there are about 11 separate agencies handling applications for visas for professionals. This, he said, was one of the grouses raised by the industries as it was very confusing for them. The Health Ministry is expanding a free pneumococcal vaccination program to those born between 2018 and 2019. Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said the expansion for the program will begin tomorrow until May 31st, 2024.
Sebenarnya pemberian vaksin tu kita boleh ibu bapa boleh bawa anak-anak ke mana-mana fasiliti kita secara walk-in, tetapi kita juga ada temu janji melalui MySejahtera. Jadi mereka boleh juga pergi ke MySejahtera dan membuat tempahanlah untuk temu janji pemberian vaksin.
So di semua fasiliti klinik?
Di semua fasiliti.
She said the decision to expand the program was because unvaccinated children aged below 5 are at risk of invasive pneumococcal disease and exposed to complications. In December 2020, the government included the vaccination in the National Immunization Program for those born in January 2020. The ministry targets to inoculate 70% or 700,000 of the 1 million children aged 4 to 5 under the 2-year program.
PKR Vice President Nuru Iza denied speculation of contesting for a seat in Penang during the upcoming state polls. She was responding to an article claiming that she would contest for a seat in the northern state and be given an important portfolio in the state government if she wins.
Nuru Iza was a 3-term MP, serving in Lembah Pantai from 2008 to 2018, and in Permatang Pau from 2018 to 2022. However, she lost the Permatang Pau seat in the 15th general election last year to the Perikatan Nasional candidate. Nuru Iza now serves as the co-chairperson of the Secretariat to the Advisory Committee to the Finance Ministry. The committee was established by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim on February 7th this year to advise him as Finance Minister.
A key suspect in the 1MDB scandal, Keqing Tiong, has died of stroke on Monday, according to his lawyer. His death comes weeks after being deported to Malaysia to face questioning over his role in the multi-billion-dollar fraud involving Joe Low. The police, however, said there was no foul play involved in the death of Key. Selangor Police Chief Datuk Husin Omar Khan told Bernama that the case was investigated as sudden death report and there were no criminal elements.
A statement by the law firm representing Key and his family said he died in a hospital on May 29 from a sudden massive stroke. His family said Key was cremated on Wednesday morning. The statement urged all parties to not entertain speculations of his death. News of Key's death comes hours after Al Jazeera reported that the MACC confirmed fugitive businessman Joe Low was hiding in Macau after questioning Key. The anti-graft agency said Key, who was deported from Macau earlier this month, revealed he met with Low and other 1MDB fugitives in Macau. Key was released without charge or protection by authorities after being questioned by the MACC early in May.
Separately, the co-author of the best-selling book on the 1MDB scandal, Bradley Hope, dismisses the idea that Joe Low is in Macau. Hope said on Twitter today that he believes Low is currently under house arrest in Shanghai. Hope said that Lau was in Macau a lot from 2015 to 2018, as well as Hong Kong, Shenzhen and Thailand. But after former Prime Minister Datuk Sri Najib Abdul Razak's defeat in G14, Low's movements were more restricted to the mainland. He alleged that China is holding Low on a tight leash because of negotiations with Malaysia. Low disappeared in 2016 as authorities from Singapore, Australia and the US closed in on the theft of billions of dollars from 1MDB. Hope, alongside co-author Tom Wright, are best-selling authors of the book Billion Dollar Whale. We'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
To move, so I make it harder. If you think about it, so many people do be cool and look smarter. World, the time has come to.
Michelin terus berinovasi agar dunia boleh bergerak lebih laju. Michelin, bergerak kehidupan.
Lembu seko gagak gempit. Kalau pantun yang sama. Ibadah kurban tanda kasih agar hati jadi bersih. Sudah dikata berkali-kali. Nak ditunggu apa lagi? Kalau ibadah kurban yang dicari, isi kurbanlah yang pasti. Daftarlah sekarang. Mudah dan dipercayai.
Thailand's Prime Minister-elect Pita Limjaroenrat could be disqualified from being elected as the next leader. Caretaker Deputy Prime Minister Wisanu Kriangam said this was due to a complaint against the Move Forward Party leader for holding a share in a media firm. According to the Bangkok Post, details of the complaint would be a key factor to determine if Pita is eligible for the country's top post. If a complaint targets Pita's eligibility to be an MP, he could still be Prime Minister. If it targets his prime ministerial qualifications, he could still be an MP. But if a complaint targets both, the court will rule on both. A complaint could also question Pita's approval of his party memberships, which could lead to a repeat nationwide general election. Pita is the sole PM candidate of the Move Forward Party, which won in the May 14 general elections. Thailand's constitution prohibits candidates from running in an election if they have shares in mass media. North Korea has said an accident happened as it planned to send up its first space satellite, causing it to crash into the sea. Pyongyang announced earlier that it had planned to launch a satellite by 11th of June to monitor U.S. military activities. It has now stated that it will make a second attempt at the earliest opportunity.
The launch sparked a false alarm in the South Korean capital, Seoul, while in Japan, a warning was issued to residents of Okinawa in the south. There was chaos and confusion in Seoul as people awoke to the sound of an air raid siren and an emergency message telling them to prepare for an evacuation, only to be told 20 minutes later it had been sent in error. South Korea's military said the rocket might have broken up in mid-air or crashed after it vanished from radar early. The stakes are high on the Korean peninsula, where tensions have existed between the two countries for 70 years, and this false alarm could seriously damage people's trust in the alert system. Seoul Mayor Oh Se-hoon acknowledged the emergency text may have been an overreaction, but said there can be no compromise on safety and would improve its warning system to avoid confusion.
Tesla chief executive Elon Musk is in China, his first trip to the country in over 3 years. The visit comes as his company faces intensifying competition from Chinese-made electric vehicles and amid rising US-China tensions. Musk's visit was met with enthusiasm and praises on Chinese social media, with some calling him a global idol. Since landing in Beijing on Tuesday, he has met with China's Foreign Minister Keqing Tiong, Commerce and Industry Ministers, and has dined with Deng Yuchun, chairman of top battery supplier CATL. In a statement, China's Foreign Ministry said that Musk was willing to expand the car maker's business in the country, adding how the billionaire had described the US and China economies as conjoined twins. Musk is expected to meet other senior Chinese officials and visit the Shanghai plant later in the week, though he has announced no official plans. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has called on the revival of the Asian Monetary Fund idea to strengthen the region's financial capabilities. With the proposal met with resistance some 26 years ago, how feasible is its establishment for today? Dr. Paul Anthony Mariadas from Taylor's University weighs in.
Critics claim that IMF and the World Bank are institutions that operate at the command of the US that seeks to maintain its dominant position as the world's sole superpower. Okay, and also there is growing unease around the world that US is abusing its predominant position by imposing unilateral sanction on its adversaries like Russia, China, Iran, and Venezuela. And then number two, stronger trade ties between China and Asian countries. Okay, so this time it's not different like the past. Okay, so there are a lot of changes happened for the past 25 years. So the power rivalry between China and the US has undermined the US vision of a unipolar world. So compared to the 90s, China today enjoys much stronger trade ties with the Asian economies. So in addition, unlike the IMF or the US, China doesn't impose harsh conditions for lending purpose. So the major Asian nations, will overcome the problem of dealing with the US pressure and form a pan-Asian political coalition in support of the AMF.
Paul supports the establishment of AMF as it can contribute to regional economic stability and growth, but he cautioned the many challenges member countries might face.
So the AMF could create a moral hazard where countries become complacent, and take more risk, knowing that they can rely on the AMF for financial support during times of crisis. And besides that, the AMF may be vulnerable to political influence, particularly from larger and more powerful member countries, which may undermine its independence and credibility. In terms of Malaysia, as a small trading nation, we should remain open for all the ideas and must maintain our neutrality to safeguard our own interest. So we cannot simply jump into the conclusion to accept whatever opinions given by the world leaders or the Asian leaders. Okay, anyhow, of course, the thing is going to happen soon.
Malaysia has made several steps to reduce its dependency on the US dollar, including the setting up of a local currency settlement framework, or LCSF, with Thailand and Indonesia. As other countries gear up with the same intention, we ask Dr. Paul Anthony Mariadas, will the action bring more harm than good?
So countries that currently hold significant US dollar reserves are exposed to US monetary policy decisions, which can have a significant spillover effect on their economies. So moving away from the US dollar could reduce this exposure and increase economic autonomy for these countries. Okay, and also diversifying global reserve holdings away from US dollar could reduce the risk associated with holding a single currency, such as exchange rate fluctuation, inflation, and political instability. And the last one, I would say a more diversified global reserve currency system could increase competition among currencies, leading to a greater efficiency and innovation in the global financial system. And in terms of disadvantages, I would say a shift away from the US dollar as the dominant global reserve currency could lead to increased like volatility in the financial market as the investors and countries adjust to the new currency landscape. And besides that, the US dollar is currently the most widely used currency for international trade and financial transactions, which provides a high level of liquidity and market depth. Moving away from the US dollar could reduce liquidity and increase transaction cost, particularly for smaller economies.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.